Hello YouTube world. Welcome to Mr. Natural's Music School here in California, San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury District. Welcome. So we're working on rhythmic ear training, and I've been teaching using a method I call codewords, which is basically finding words, since I use English in the English language, which automatically generate the rhythms of the standard rhythms that happen where we have like a quarter note, 2/8 notes, 4/16 notes. And we call that, these are our standard, we call that the quarter note drum. When we tie two together like this in one beat, we call that TARZAN. And when we have 4/16 notes, and you can tell because there's a double flag here, 16th notes, and you can tell because there's a double flag here, we call that alligator. Drum, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, alligator, drum, alligator, Tarzan, drum. Now, you should have a piece of paper and a pencil. Wow, it's not erasing as well as it used to. You should have a piece of paper and pencil and some kind of hard backing that you can put the paper on so you can write on it. And I'm not going to explain a lot because I've explained it all before. Today, the rhythm that we're going to focus in on, we've done TARGator and ALLIGATOR, which look like this. TARGator, TARGator, that's the first part of Tarzan and the last part of alligator. And then we've done the reverse. ALLIGATOR, ALLIGATOR, first part of alligator, back part Tarzan. We're not going to use these today. We did those the last couple of weeks. So what we're going to focus in on now is we're going to focus in on two code words. One is called butter. Butter, and this is a form of alligator. Alligator, alligator, da-da, 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 butter, butter, butter. We call this butter. Butter. The other one is the reverse, in which the 16th note's over here, and the dotted 8th notes over there, and we call this Humpty. Alligator, 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 Humpty, Dumpty, Humpty. And tonight, we're just going to focus in on butter. Looks like it's building up. Oh, this board, we need a new whiteboard. This whiteboard just doesn't want to work for us anymore. It's getting muddier and muddier every week. Okay, so I have 14 rhythms today that we're going to do, and I'm going to start right in. So we're going to use drum, Tarzan, and alligator, which are our staples, and I'm going to add in butter, and that's the only one we're going to use this week. Next week, we'll work on Humpty, because they take a little bit of getting used to in your ear ball to hear them. And then the following week after that, we're going to actually show you some printed music and play some pieces and show you how up to now we've taught you about 90% of everything you're going to run across in music. And we're going to take out a bunch of Bach pieces so we don't have to worry about copyrights. And we're going to go through the Anna Magdalena Bach, and there's 2 or 3 pieces in there that pretty much have all of the code words that we've used. And what we'll do is we'll look at that music, we'll see if we can see the rhythms, hear the rhythms, and then we'll have Angel actually play the pieces, the right hand on the piano, the left hand on the piano, and then play them both together so we can hear what they sound like together and prove to you that you can hear this and write this down. So let's get started with butter. So the first one is again. drum, Tarzan, butter, drum, drum, Tarzan, butter, drum, drum, Tarzan, butter, drum. Next one. Again. Again. Once more. Tarzan, butter, alligator, drum. Tarzan, butter, alligator, drum. Code word number 3. I used to hear this in the drum and bugle corps all the time. One more time. Okay. Butter, butter, Tarzan, drum. Butter, butter, Tarzan, drum. I'm gonna try a wet rag with alcohol on it or something. Okay, number 4. Again. Once more. You should have Tarzan, Tarzan, butter, drum. Tarzan, Tarzan, butter, drum. And it gets muddier and muddier.
You could try that other whiteboard over.
Oh, it's all right. It's probably just dirty. Just, I mean, it's wet. Okay, so now number 5. One more time. Alligator, butter, Tarzan, drum. Alligator, butter, Tarzan, drum. Get ready. Once more. Should have butter, alligator, butter, drum. Butter, alligator, butter, drum. Number 7. Once again. Again. butter, 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 drum. Butter, 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 drum. Butter, 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 drum. Number 9. Wait a minute.
8.
Number 8. Thank you, Angel. I can't even count. This is, hey, ready? Rhythm number 8. Butter, drum, alligator, and this is the hard one, butter on the end. Butter, drum, alligator, butter. Butter, drum, alligator, butter. So putting the butter at the end here makes your ear float. A little bit harder to hear. I try to end things with a drum till you get used to them. Not fancy at twiddling these things either. All right, so that was rhythm number 8. Rhythm number 9. Again. Again. Once more. Drum, butter, butter, drum. Drum, butter, butter, drum. Now number 10. Butter, Tarzan, butter, drum. Butter, Tarzan, butter, drum. Rhythm number 11. Butter, butter, Tarzan, butter, 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 Tarzan, butter, 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 Tarzan, butter. Number 12. Alligator butter, alligator drum. These flags should go all the way through. Sorry for my sloppy handwriting. Alligator, alligator drum. Alligator butter, alligator drum. Number 13. Your ear rest. Alligator, alligator, butter, drum. Alligator, alligator, butter, drum. Alligator, alligator, butter, drum. And our final code word sentence for the night. Tarzan, butter, butter, drum. Tarzan, butter, butter, drum. This is out, door, out, door, out, door, out, door, out, door. Or we call it hump, Humpty. Allocate, allocate, ta, da, 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 da. Alligator, 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 da, 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 da. That's the code word we're going to focus on next week. Now I'm just going to take one of these and start talking, and I'm going to say these code words out loud, and I'm going to throw this into the sentence every now and then so you can hear it, okay? Tarzan, Tarzan, drum. Alligator, hum, the dum, the hum, the alligator. Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, drum. Hum, the Tarzan, Tarzan, drum. Hum, the butter, hum, the butter. Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator, drum. Humpty, butter, Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, Humpty, drum. Humpty, Dumpty, alligator, drum. Humpty, Dumpty, Humpty, drum. Humpty, 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 butter. Humpty, butter, Humpty, Tarzan, drum. Sorry. Okay, so next week we're going to focus on this word, and we'll put our staples, drum, Tarzan, and alligator in there. And then what happens is the following week, we're going to have some musical examples so you can hear what they sound like on the piano. And we'll take all these little rhythms that are in little Bach pieces in the Anna Magdalena songbook. And you should be able to hear them, and you should be able to visually see them and read them. And then when we play both hands, you should be able to actually follow both hands. And what I usually do when I'm listening to a piece is I'll focus on one hand, write out those rhythms, then play it again, and then write out the other rhythms. Now, the left hand, in most cases, usually has simpler rhythms, and the right hand usually has more complicated rhythms. So what you can do is listen for the bass hand first and learn to get those things down until you're getting pretty confident at it, and then start listening to the right hand and see if you can get the more complicated rhythms down. We have not done anything with rests or things that carry over the bar line or any of that yet, because the ear training we've done so far will allow you to hear those things and see those things anyway. So they don't need a lot of training, but these things need ear training. So I'd like to thank you for coming again this week. I would like to ask you all, if you go to Amazon.com or to lulu.press, you'll find my book, Music Theory Decoded Strictly by the Numbers, by Lynn Vonnie and Mr. Natural. And this book will help you get through, if you're in college studying music theory. One of the major problems I had when I was in college is when I had to spell out chords and things like that, I would get the half steps off a little bit and my spellings would always be wrong. When I discovered that below all these spellings of ABC are these number patterns, these interval patterns that never change. These interval patterns for the major scale never changes. And it doesn't matter which note I start on, that interval pattern is always going to be the same. You're going to have two chromatic tones, one chromatic tone, then two, then two, then two, and then one, and that will build a major scale no matter what note you start on. So I created this little device called the intervalometer, which is in the back of our book, the intervalometer. And what this thing does is you assemble this, and it makes a big long stripe, which you put behind the black keys on your keyboard. You'll probably see that in a couple of weeks. We'll actually show it to you on the keyboard. You'll see how it works. And with this, you can move around, and it shows you the major scale pattern, and you can put the number 1 on any note you want, and then just follow the numbers and ignore the black stripes, basically. So what this does is gives you a visual cue of which notes not to play. That's the hardest thing to do on the keyboard. Once you realize what notes you can ignore, the patterns are a lot easier to find and to see. And the other thing is, of course, you have the minor scale, and we do this unique thing where we also number the minor scale, where you have 2 tones, and then 1 tone, 2 tones, 2 tones, 1 tone, 2 tones, and 2 tones. And that's the way the minor is spelled. We also have here a thing which we call the modulation intervalometer, and what this one does is when you cut this one out and put it together, it will sit behind the other one, so you can actually have 2 sliders on the keyboard at once, and you can put one in one key, and you can put the other in another key, and you can study modulations. You can study how to move to the 5 chord of the new key and come back down and establish a new key. You can also learn how to do 2-5-1, which are done in jazz a lot. Jazz uses the 2-5-1 to modulate usually through the circle of fifths. And this will actually demonstrate and show it. There is here a little device which is kind of, for me, here's your keyboard with your ABCs. It has the sharps and flats on each of the black keys, and if you cut this out and fold it over and insert it right in here, it will help you learn the spelling for every major scale using the blue slider and every minor scale using the red slider. There's also a blues scale, which are blues notes on the major, and there's also 3 different kinds of minor scales. There's the natural minor, which are the numbers themselves. There's the harmonic minor, in which the 7 is red or sharpened, and then there's the melodic minor, in which you sharpen the 6 and 7 going up, but you use the natural minor coming back down. And if you use a slider, you can actually play and improvise in the actual full melodic minor, rather than using the cheap melodic minor, which they do in jazz, where it's the same way going up and coming down. So please, go out and get my book. This will show you everything, how to spell everything and everything. You'll get my magic little wheel here, which is the number code that gets inserted inside of the ABCs. We have a little thing here called cows eat grass but don't fly airplanes, and that's the one thing you have to learn for all of the clefs and all of the lines and spaces, instead of learning 4 different little things for each, learning for the lines and then learning the spaces on the treble clef and learning the lines and the spaces on the bass clef. So you wind up with 4 poems. This is this one poem, which is cows eat grass but don't fly airplanes. And it turns out that that will work for any staff, any clef, anywhere, naming all of the spaces or all of the lines. This one pattern does it all. And then we show how to apply it by showing the intervalometer behind the keys and how to spell every kind of chord and every kind of scale. And we explain the key signatures and how the key signatures work We have a little diagram here that show how the chords interact with each other so you can make up all kinds of diatonic harmony. We explain chord progressions and why they do what they do and how they have the feelings they have. Here you have your circle of fifths and your circle of fourths showing how they give you all the sharps and flats and how they also allow you to modulate through different keys. And all this is explained throughout the book. And then the part I'm the most proud of is here in the back, where I cover more than one kind of modulation scheme. In school, they usually only teach you one way to modulate. But here I show you that there's almost an infinite number of ways in which you can modulate. You can have an infinite number of sliders which you can put in your head, and you can modulate into any key, anytime, anywhere. And this will help explain some of the most complicated chord progressions you've run into. This will get you through 2 to 4 years of your college music course and will teach you to spell everything correctly. After I developed this method, I got 100% on every test, and the teachers insisted that I was cheating. And I had a battle with them over that, and I had to prove to them that I'd figured out this method, which helped me learn to go from being the worst speller in my school at Columbia to the best speller in the school, literally overnight. So if you use the slider, you'll never get your spellings wrong, no matter how abstract. And the truth is, you can go up to 35 different spellings for the major scale, even though there's only 12 notes on the piano, because the spellings, like any theory can go beyond what's real and explain the most abstract concepts. And we take it as far as music theory can go, where it then turns around, folds in on itself, and then starts all over with one again. So please, if you get my book, you will get more than the complete story. You will get the complete story plus the ideal abstract thing that will take it as far as you go. For instance, do you know how to spell the double A sharp scale, which merely has 17 sharps? And the problem is, even with the way that they teach it in school, they teach you the 15 different keys, the 12 regular keys, and then 3 enharmonics. And the problem is double sharps and double flats come up and people don't know where to put them, okay, or where they go. And then sometimes when you're playing something in the minor scale, for instance, you want to do major chords in the minor scale. So that really requires sometimes using sometimes as many as triple flats and triple sharps. So what will happen is in school, you can learn the 12 keys or the 15 keys that they're teaching you at school, and you can go way beyond that. So beyond seven sharps, beyond 7 flats. Don't forget, D sharp is an actual key that has 9 sharps and can be spelled correctly. A sharp, not B flat, but A sharp does come up, and it has 10 sharps in it. So those are not theoretically way out in outer space. They do show up in classical music. And if you're studying Hindemith, he will have you write things in A sharp, and he will have you write things in D sharp, and he'll do things like D sharp minor. Have fun with that one, folks. Okay? So please, go get my book. You can get it at Amazon.com, or you can get it at Lulu.com. And Lulu.com also has some of our other books. We have a music book that we use for kids to teach kids how to start learning to play music by number. Looks like this. It's called the Mr. Natural Songs by Number book. And what we do is we've created a thing called Piano Tab, and we enumerate songs, and we do this with kids to get them to start playing. And there's about, about 35, 40 kids songs in here that you can learn to play by number. And also it's really good ear training for you adults. If you learn to sing these songs by number, you will automatically get the ear training that you need. If you have relative pitch, you can learn to hear these intervals, and you can learn to recognize these intervals and write them down. However, you cannot write them down as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because your ear doesn't hear perfect pitch. If you're a perfect pitch guy, you're going to have trouble with feeling the tension within intervals. So since most people have relative pitch, this training is more apt to help you with your ear than for people who have perfect pitch, and etc. So please, it's been nice seeing you all again. We'll see you next week, same time, same station, at 7:30 next Thursday night. Please come on back. So until then, YouTube world out there, be safe, be kind, and we'll see you again. Good night.